What up, everybody? It's Ponter here, and today we've got a special video. This is going to be a match mode from late 2023. The replay was sent to me by Dexter, kind of in response to my request for more videos. And this is going to be a very good 4v4 on Riviera. I know we've done a lot on this map, but there's a reason why we keep coming back to it, and it's because this is one of the best maps, you know, in terms of getting in good competitive games. And this is a very good 4v4 for a few reasons. First of all, both teams are going to have very good, coherent strategies. They're going to have good execution, and the matchups in themselves are going to be interesting because we're going to see some unusual matchups, and specifically around pretty much every matchup on this is going to be interesting. So we'll just wait for a second for the teams to form up, and we're going to be looking at this from the NATO side. Again, this is from Dexter, who sent it to me. I'm not going to be playing in this game, unfortunately. And the team on NATO is going to be Kid A and Dex, who's that's the dream team right there. Those two play together quite a lot. And then we're going to have that is Peru. And then eventually, I believe Spirit Gun's going to jump in and be their infantry. On the opposing team, it's going to be Alien, Blitz, Kickapoo, and Yavoy. And the interesting thing will be, Usually you get Dexter and Kickapoo playing infantry, and they kind of cancel each other out. But this time, both Dexter and Kickapoo are going to be playing armor. So we're going to see that Kickapoo, the rare Kickapoo armor experience, going up against Dexter, who's probably one of the best armor players in the game currently. We've also got Spirit Gun versus Yavoy on Inf. So that's going to be the B team infantry guys going at it. So we're not going to be seeing kind of the monster inf that takes over the whole game. We're going to see kind of the supportive inf. And then Alien and Kid A are going to both be playing support. And Kid A plays support with that supportive mindset. And Alien is he's going to use TA himself. And we're going to see that a little bit. But, support doesn't really matter, so who cares? And then finally, we're going to see an interesting air matchup with Blitz versus Peru. And both of them have a very different approach to air. We're going to be seeing the suicidal kind of YOLO air from Peru, and then the more thoughtful, conservative play from Blitz. And we'll see which one pays off. But I really want to focus on the armor. So we're going to be contrasting. So, look at Peru. He's just right off the bat. He's just charging in. Actually does pretty well for himself, but he's not providing line of sight. He actually gets out of there just in time. But we're going to be focusing on the armor, and I want to draw attention to this tank right here. Again, look at the spawn. All lights other than one tank, and the tank is going right here. And this tank is going to be staying in this spot for pretty much the whole game. So just keep an eye on this tank. This is probably one of the best tank spots in the game, especially along these woods. Because it breaks the line of sight. It's hard for people to see. And then you can always retreat. And you have lots of cover to hide. And you have coverage here and here. And this tank is just going to be shooting, to its heart's content. And in comparison, this spot here, it's tempting. You're forwarding on this spot. You've got good line of sight. You can shoot pretty much anywhere. But it just attracts too much attention, and it leads to tanks dying constantly. And we're going to see that right here. Kickapoo, he's got the captain tank already, and the captain tank is dead already. And that's the problem with that spot, especially when you're up against players who like cluster munitions. That is a really it's a tempting spot, but it's going to get a face full of clusters immediately. So you either have to micro very intensively on that spot and kind of pull back constantly, or you're going to lose that tank. So I prefer behind here in a 4v4 situation. But anyways, we'll keep an eye on the tanks. For now, we've kind of seen our initial push, and as usual on a 4v4, USSR, it's incumbent on them to kind of pick where they're going to go. So you can either push up here or you can push over here. So it looks like USSR has decided to push, you know, because of that heavy tank over here, looks like they're going to push the town. And again, that's a trade-off. And we're going to see this trade-off kind of unfold as the game goes. The trade-off is it's much more rewarding to push the town because there's two, you know, you got 4 overall points to take. And then once you dig in there, it's pretty hard to dislodge you compared to the windmill. But the reward you get for pushing the windmill, and here comes their push. So this is a good, you got the inf in the position, you got the light tanks charging in, they're burning the woods, but there's ATs still in here, and they get the cap. So that's great. And look, they get a huge swing on the score. However, the reward you get for pushing the windmill is it defends the mansion and the farm. Because if you look here, Dex is just ready to go. He's got his tank in position. This AA is getting beat up. But they're going to be able to push the mansion and the farm pretty easily. And then in the meantime, Spirit Gun can just clean this up and get a nice easy cap. Because they haven't really sanitized the inf out of here. But here comes a lot of drops. It looks like Dexter's holding on to a lot of TA, and we'll see what he does with that TA. But we notice he's not doing his own para drops. And instead, yeah, it looks like Yavoy is doing all his drops. This is probably a Kickapoo drop. Yeah, and the enemy inf is a big problem. Thank you for telling us that, Peru. That's a bad situation in town. But once again, boom, another tank buster on that unmicro tank. And you notice that, yeah, Kickapoo's got a lot more heavies in the beginning. He's kind of rocking 2 heavies in comparison to Dex's 1. And that allows Dex to cover a lot more. And here we go. This is kind of what you do in response to the town push. And what we're going to be seeing in this game is like just a vortex of torture over the mansion. You know, just light units charging in, getting killed by air and TA, and oh man, that's such a sad heavy tank over here. Here comes the heavy arty, and we're going to be seeing this. Like, this is pretty much all both teams is going to be spending their TA on is just heavy arties. And you just like in this one little zone, this is going to get schwacked with arty the entire game. And that's kind of what you got to do in this on this map in a 4v4. Like, you don't have enough TA generation to really nuke. And notice here, this is great tank micro, keeping this guy alive. He noticed that there's inf in the woods shooting at his tank, so he just pulls it back. He marks it for the air. I mean, good luck getting the air to do anything. And yeah, Spirit Gun is getting outdropped here. Like, this is another round of drops. I wonder if this is Kickapoo or Yavoy. I think this must be Kickapoo because Yavoy just put these down in a minute ago. Let's see. Oh no, it's just another round of Yavoy drops. And yeah, the town is looking pretty vulnerable. But again, they can't. There's like 2 light heavy tanks out for Kickapoo, so he's going heavy on the heavies. And nice snipe there, denies the cap, but he can't help out in town because he's got all his TA or all his reinforcement points are in heavies. And here comes the scanning. And this is another thing this is kind of another one of the weird foibles of Riviera, or pretty much any map with NATO. NATO gets really cheap scans, and we're gonna see it's a temptation definitely to rely heavily on the scans. We're gonna see Peru very greedily using scans instead of sending out TA. Yeah, and Spirit Gun really aggressive, and these are questionable drops. Like this one, you know, all of these drops, I would question them. Like, look at what's going on in town. You're outnumbered in town in terms of inf. These are not going to survive. You know, a sniper is going to, like, if they have a sniper here, it's going to die. The air can easily kill them. Like, undefensible drops are, you know, you're just throwing away TA, and really you don't have the, well, look, like, these get cleaned up instantly. That's an interesting, you know, I think the sniper's fine here for now. And just more arty, more decaps of mansion. And I call this like a vortex of torture for the USSR team, because notice they're always being sucked into this little area. All their units are getting pulled into this fight. And every time this gets poked and decapped, they bleed a little bit of lead. And they cannot help out on the flanks. And yeah, here comes, this is an air scan this time. And yeah, this is probably a good one. And he getting pokes this down again. See this heavy tank helping out, just chipping away constantly, you know, pulling forward and pulling back when needed, just killing all these light units constantly. And again, he can spam light units, but there's no pressure on the flanks. Like, even though, like, this is so weak, like, there's no forts on this, like, light tanks could easily snag this. Like, if air just came in and killed this, or like, this guy hasn't dropped a direct arty in a while. Oh, there it is. Oh, he whiffed it though. Like, there should be enough direct arties killing this guy. And here comes their heavy arty. So notice, instead of capping this, or like like Elian spent 26 TA on 2 heavy arties to basically sanitize this area, and it worked really well. They just smashed this assault. But that could have been sent to Kickapoo, and he could have done a bunch of drops over here and really punished them for kind of not defending this well. Instead, it's just more destructive TA. And it didn't kill everything. Like, there's still AA, there's still Inf, and there's still this Captain Heavy Tank that's just racking up the hits. And nobody's diving on it. He's got really good vision with this infantry in here and the sniper, so he can kind of see the air coming, and he can pull back and retreat. And then Kid A has a nice network all around him, so this tank is constantly protected. And so this is what I would call an established position. Okay, this is a little ballsy. Like, please pull back. This established. He must have clicked on a guy and then he. Oh, okay, well. Oh God, no. Oh yeah, he realizes it. But an established position allows you to kind of just control space. Yeah, there we go. And the lights come in. Control space and just kill everything, instead of just charging light units kind of constantly, like lemming style. And you know, that's the difference between having one heavy. So I don't like the all light tanks, but I also don't like the YOLO heavy tanks, like, let's just charge in at CPs and hope for the best. Like a heavy tank back here, when you're getting this vortex of pain over the mansion and stuff, a heavy tank behind these woods just shooting light tanks, shooting aggressive AA, that's what you want to use. And then you can always retreat into your spawn, and a heavy tank back here will never die. Just like this heavy tank, which just became a star. This has survived the entire game so far, so 10 minutes. Because it has a place to retreat. And let's see, is this going to hit? Oh, nice. That's a really nice one. And if you notice that, like, Dex baited that perfectly. Like, he popped smoke at the right time, but then he left the smoke to draw Blitz into that air-to-air, and that's a devastating air-to-air. Because again, those, if you're a very conservative air player like Blitz, who's really like preserving the choppers, ranking them up, keeping them alive, to get wiped like that is just devastating. And then they can go and do stuff like this. Like, they can get a nice dirty decap. They're actually going to get a cap here. That's how the power of the air-to-air. So, you know, Kid A, she's been feeding a lot of TA, but that was her air-to-air, and that really managed to turn the tides, or basically, you know, do a devastating turn of a devastating tick on them. And then finally, you know, this is the first time they've actually applied pressure to the Windmill, and so this is your voice drops again. So no drops out of Kickapoo that I managed to see so far. Okay, he's been doing defensive drops around here, which it makes sense for an armor player. Like, if you're going to be focused fighting in around here, you might as well have drops here to give line of sight, and you can micro them easily. But this is what I've been waiting for the entire game. You know, let's put some TA into clearing up Windmill. Because again, the only way that you can stop this permanently is to turn the Windmill in your favor. Because if you can get tanks up here, then suddenly they can't really push in this direction anymore. Although, having a tank here instead of up here, like, do not put heavies up here from the NATO side in a 4v4. Or you should really only do it. I mean, if they're putting heavies up here and you kind of need something beefy to hold it, but really you just need a heavy here shooting at stuff all the time. Then you can just focus on lights, because look at what the lights can do. Get sneaky caps. Like, they're gonna get killed anyways. Like, there's no way you can keep, you know, your AA alive up here very easily. Although this is nice. And just constant poking here. Even though the town is not looking good, and I don't know if like Dex could have done more drops over here himself, because like Spirit Gun is just getting out-dropped by a Void here, and Spirit Gun hasn't been able to kind of purge this, and now they finally get some comebacks going. The only thing that's really holding USSR back is this constant pressure on the mansion. And again, this pressure on the mansion gives some relief, because imagine if there was, you know, instead of a heavy tank getting killed on the point, imagine if there was a couple more lights charging in here and, you know, attacking this. And now notice Kide just dumped a ton of TA onto Dex. He's got 45. And yeah, the big guns are coming out now. Let's see how this heavy air support goes. You know, it's sometimes tempting to do a carpet bomb. But really, again, on a 4v4, you mainly want to do, you know, light touch stuff, very cheap stuff. This is an unfortunate air-to-air. Like, I wouldn't put an air-to-air over a heavy air support, because it's just going to scare away this guy. And yeah, we're getting close. USSR is trying his best. You know, the inf on this, oh, it's so devastating. Having an inf sitting there. The heavy tank is still alive. Like, there's no way. Oh, I guess that, yeah, there's some really forward AA. And yeah, like, Kide just keeps a box of AA around this guy the whole time. Notice no rep tanks out of Kide. Just pure, and no medium anti-air either. Devastating amounts of drops here. Like, you almost need to gas this guy out, or get a medium tank in the town and just kind of ping away at them, because there's so many buildings. But, you know, Spirit Gun should really have an AT or more drops. Like, here comes some collaborative drops from the whole team. Next, I know he has to drop up here too, and he's still just pumping lights constantly. And USSR is really on the back foot now. And again, the USSR, notice they just never got this like sustained position of a heavy tanks protected by anti-air that can just whittle away at these light units, in comparison to Dex. Like, look, he's just sniping AA across the map. You know, devastating. In the meantime, chopping it up over here with the inf. This is, you know, this would have been nice to have some light tanks. Again, it's really hard to, you know, run light units, like even light tanks up here, when you're in a desperate situation. Look, oh, it's a whiffed. You whiffed it on the Star Heavy. This thing is still alive. Been alive for the entire game. Nice cap here. Again, it would have been nice to have some more USSR light tanks charging in. Also, it's just some more, you know, reg inf in this town would have been helpful. But here we go. This is just the theme. It's just heavy arty spam on these 2 points, and then followed up with light tanks. Man, whoa, a star. This guy's a star. Jeez. But this is USSR's plan, is just drops on these undefended points and drops up here, gets a nice cap. But again, like even though they've really messing on the flanks, they just can't hold the center. And when the center is so vulnerable and just gets capped by these aggressive light tanks, like, what can you do? And this is the meta. You know, this is why I think Dex is, you know, one of those perfect armor players. Like, he just knows the meta of just slipping in light tanks when the time is right, and they just flow like water into the weak points and allow you to, you know, stay in the game. And basically punishes teams on a map like this when there's so many points and it's so distributed. You know, teams that invest in 2 of the 3 points, and oh no, the star almost dies. But he loses his rank. Star Tank is still alive. But you can punish teams that don't have a strong position by just slipping in these light tanks. You had more drops over here. I wonder who those are. Here comes the light tank spam. And again, no, like once Kickapoo got disillusioned by his like heavy tanks constantly dying, so he's just been spamming lights. But I still think like one heavy tank is all you need. Even on the USSR side, like a heavy tank just here is fine. Yeah, he's reached his limit. I don't know what his limit is. Just taking a look at the scores, by the way, that's the difference. Like these are our two air players. This is the difference between YOLOing and saving for your own scans and playing conservatively. And you notice like Blitz has some ranked up choppers. I mean, they're all dying right now because he YOLO'd, but compare that to Peru here, who just cannot, for the life of him, keep stuff alive. And oh, there's Inf in these woods. That's bad. And here we go. We're in the last minute. Big comeback time. You know, the town has fallen. The entire town has fallen. We're doing desperate, like, Spirit Gun is doing desperate tank drops. They're just clutch. Those are clutch tank drops here. Dex is doing his own clutch tank drops. But they managed to cap the mansion again and just keep it. Like, look at this. This is a hero unit here. And here comes the Star tank. It's also going to YOLO. He's going to help out Kid A and just keep this decapped. Peru is going the wrong direction. He's needed up here to kill these light tanks. And here comes the Star tank. And, you know, it's so close. Like, can they push it over? Like, this is where, you know, if they had a little bit more of a lead. But look at this tank. It's just sitting here with the inf, preventing this cap. Finally, the lights are charging in, but it's a little too late. More decaps up here, and that's a really good direct arty, and boom, they get a cap there. And that's pretty much all she wrote. Sitting here with the air, with the tank, with the inf. Even if these light tanks are charging in, it's not enough. It's just not enough. I mean, it's 20 seconds. Anything could happen. Masterful decap from Kid A. You love to see that. And oh, the tank dies from the tank buster. Freaking, and it's killed by the air player, who should have killed that tank a long time ago. But it's just hard to see when you're hiding in these woods. And if these woods aren't burned, the air can't always see that tank, and it's always slipping in and out of vision. And you're not sure how many. Yeah. So that's it. USSR wins. You know, it's a close one. They really made it close. The score, but look at the score for Dex. Like the command points, the pure damage by Still. And yeah, Spirit Gun with the forts. Good spirited game. Definitely a carry by Dex here. Gotta know why he sent me this replay. And yeah, Kickapoo, you know, stick with inf. But I think I can't blame Kickapoo. He never gets a chance to play armor, and then he goes up against the best armor player in the game on a really tough side. Like USSR against a proper team is really difficult. You have that existential crisis of where do I attack? And then no matter where you attack, you just get poked in the middle, and then it all falls apart. And, you know, unless you play, even if you do play perfectly, then you get nuked, and then they just rush the middle anyways, and you also lose. So it's a tough one. I think the town push, if you really just put everything into the town push, maybe it works. But then you're relying on the other team to not push this properly. And then the windmill push is just so difficult to execute. But I think if you do a successful windmill push, you can defend this a little better and then maybe nuke the town and then cap the hell out of it. But yeah, that's a good game. This was played in like November 2023. If anybody has any match modes from 2024, please send them. Hopefully we can get some games going again. I know the pubs have been kind of dead recently, but maybe we could do a match mode event. Yeah, thanks for the replay, Dex, and take it easy, guys.